What's going on, guys? Welcome back to our channel. This is James.
Hello.
Yeah, so welcome back to the Chino Decks, guys. Today's video, we're gonna be talking about the best decks post SUDA, which is Yu-Gi-Oh's newest set, Supreme Darkness. I have been looking at the analytics from our YouTube channel, and I have realized that 93% of you guys that are watching have not been subscribed yet.
Bro, come on, that's all of you guys. Come on, man.
Alright, so please, if you guys enjoy our videos, if you guys like what you're seeing, hit that like button, hit that subscribe button. If you don't, or you see some points that we can improve on, please leave a comment down below so we can see what we need to add. Alright, let's get into the video.
Right. So first up on the tier list, we got Chimera. This deck is pretty bad right now. I mean, Malice is still in the room right now with Shifter, and like every time I played at a regional, I cook it. Just saying, I cooked it 2 out of 2 times I played.
I cook it also.
It's bad. I think local level, it's good, but not insane. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, I get what you're talking about.
Alright, next we got Whitewoods. Honestly, I think this deck could stir things up. I think this deck is able to compete at a regional level, and I've been testing on DB. This deck is putting up a lot of negates, and that's always good. That's always good. What do you think, Chino Deck, James?
Well, to me, yeah, I would agree with you. The more negates that you have in the deck, obviously, the more interruptions you have, it makes the deck more durable, and it can play through, not play through, it can defend you through more. Like, it could stop your opponents a lot, it could keep on interrupting your opponents. Sometimes you can throw their game off, or sometimes you can literally just negate them to death. So, in my opinion, anytime you have a lot of interruptions in the deck, it's always good.
Yeah. Alright, next up here, we got Melodious. I think, just for now, this deck hasn't gotten support that recent. Maybe it was like 2 sets ago, I think. I think this deck is keeping the binder just for now. I mean, it's good, but Austin Auto doesn't do you enough, honestly. Like, this deck needs to get better, honestly. Like,
the deck before, it was somewhat solid, but just as of right now, competing in the current meta, I just don't think it has enough tools and weapons, honestly. Especially to fight against the big decks, YUGIOH, Malice, you know. And even still, the Fiendsmith engine plays, like, you could just dump your hand traps at them and they can still go a full ward on you. So yeah, this deck as of right now, don't see it being too crazy. Same thing, if it gets good support, I can see it going up.
Alright, next up we got Voiceless Voice. I think I could see this deck at the bottom of regional level. Like, this deck, it's super mid-range, and in a mid-range format, it's pretty alright, but it doesn't play too many hand traps, has breaks. I mean, it's not insane, honestly.
Like, no one sees it as, like, bottom regional tops. Well, I see it probably at, like, top tier local level, just because I don't see a lot of people playing Voiceless right now, and Voiceless is still kind of easy to get over, unless, like, you still have low on the board along with your other monsters. But, you know, this deck is actually very, like, it's very easy to be stopped. It's not that hard to be stopped. All I need to do is just hand trap at the right times, hit at the right times, and then this deck will have a very incomplete board, a very weak board, and you can literally just break it through.
Yeah. So let's leave it at the top of local. Bottom or regional?
I would say let's leave it at the
bottom
top local for now. After we can do some adjustments after we see, like, what's it going to be in the regional tops.
Next up, we got Fruity Flu.
Flo Andrews.
Alright. Honestly, I think this deck is in kind of a good position right now. It's an okay position. Because I think it has a great matchup against Malice. The matchup against Malice is pretty free if you go first. Going second, it struggles a lot, but if it could go first, and if it Shifters, Harpy's Featherstorm, I mean, can't really do much about it. I think I'd put this above Whitewoods, honestly. Yeah, for flu.
Yeah, like I know you guys hate to hear that. I know you guys hate the deck, but what you guys have to accept is that this deck is actually not as bad as you guys are thinking right now. Just because, think about it. Right now, the Fiendsmith engine, super popular. A lot of, dumping this into the grave, dumping that into the grave. Boom. One shifter stops everything, right? And then, let's say you have like Desiree on board or anything like that. They bring out M-Pin. They bring out double M-Pin or like an Apex Avian. It's just very hard to crack, honestly. In my opinion, it's very hard to crack. So, yeah, this deck is honestly pretty solid right now.
Yeah. All right, next up, we got Goblin Biker. I think this deck is in a good position right now just because of Ryzel being at the top of the food chain right now. I think I'll put this at the top of regional tops because it has a good matchup into Ryzel, but like that's really where it exceeds. It exceeds into Xyz decks, and I don't think that's able to carry it far enough, but it's still good. It's still pretty good. Anything?
No, I completely agree with you said right there. I do have some things to say about our next deck, though, Centurion. In my opinion, Centurion right now in the current format, I wouldn't say it's great. I would say it's either like just somewhere around good or mid, honestly. Right? Because honestly, for me, I would say Centurion. I wouldn't say to pick it up. Like, it's a kind of mid deck right now, and it's very expensive. It's pretty expensive for a mid deck, but like I always say, if you guys like the deck, if you guys like the cards, go buy it, go play it 100%. But yeah, that's just what I have to say about Centurion for now.
Yeah, I think this deck, it's for the price, it's not good enough. Like, it's pretty expensive, and it's been around for so long, and it's still bad. Or it's not bad, but it's not great. It had its moment.
It had its peaks,
It had its moment when Pac played it at that YCS, and when Sam played it. But honestly, like, this deck doesn't do enough. It's good, but I think I'd put it for its position right now. I'd put it right below Goblin Biker. All right, next up we got Memento. I think I would put Memento. This is tough. This deck is good. You have to be incredibly good at the game to pilot this well. I think I'll put this above Goblin Biker. Honestly, I think the deck loses to Shifter, which in basically a Shifter meta, it kind of sucks. But the deck is pretty good. Like, it's good at what it does. So I think putting it like it just needs that format. It needs that format to really accomplish something.
The moment the right format hits, I can see this deck being pretty good, honestly. As of right now, this deck is kind of just basically based on your own personal skill. Like, if you're good with it, if you're good at playing Yu-Gi-Oh, if you know what you're doing, you can cook. But if you're kind of clueless, either stay home, trade for some Lorcana, or go pick up Ryzel. I mean, Ryzel, you don't have to even know the deck to win. Like, you play the deck and you just win. So, yeah, that deck is a very skilled deck as of right now.
All right, next deck, Ryzel. I think we all know where this is going.
No doubt.
Best deck. This deck is insane. I mean, here it only shows like the pure variant, but if it's so splashable, like Mitsurugi, Ryzel. What else?
Honestly, I think that's gonna be the best deck, Mitsurugi, Ryzel. After Mitsurugi cards come out, I'm pretty sure that will be the best deck. Like, Ryzel, every variant of Ryzel is incredibly strong. Every variant of it is incredibly strong. Just the ability to just keep on bringing out the Xyz monsters and having Detonator with 3. But yeah, I just think the deck is pretty crazy still.
I think Fiendsmith Ryzel will be at the top still. I think Mitsurugi Ryzel in testing is still bricky. It's a ritual deck. Like the ritual deck is brick, but I think Mitsurugi Ryzel is very strong, and now I think it'll be at the top of the format with Fiendsmith Ryzel. All right, next up we got Crystron. I think that this deck is YCS bound. Honestly, I think this deck is in a very good position right now. This deck is very good at setting up its first board, and it's pretty alright playing into boards. But Crystron Tristalos is insane. That card is good. Like it lets you dodge hand traps. It lets you. It's insane. It's so good, honestly. Anything there?
No, completely agree.
Next up, we got Fire King. We'll let James take this one.
So, honestly, right now, I would say you still can't really underestimate Fire King. You know, you still really can't underestimate Fire King. Even though without, let's say you play Fire King Pure, you're still able to cook. Fire King Pure is still a good deck. You can still dodge hand traps. Don't forget you still have Volcanics. You still have Kieran over there to help you dodge. You still have Arvada to help you negate what you need to negate. Just putting up crazy boards, and even after your board gets blown up, you can bring everything almost right back up. So yeah, I think this deck right now is still pretty decent. Don't underestimate it. But let's say when we talk about Fire King as being a snake guy, that's gonna be a whole different story. Yes, it's lost a lot on consistency ever since they banned OSS, but yeah, there's still ways to make the deck work. If you guys want like a tutorial of that, if you guys want to know more about that, just let us know in the comments. I can make a separate video for that. But yeah, I would say the deck itself right now is actually still pretty strong.
Yeah. So, like, in front of Flu, or like behind it, or you think right here is good?
In the current meta, I would say behind Flu.
Behind Flu?
Yeah.
You think behind Whitewoods? I think the new Whitewoods stuff is better than...
I would say behind Whitewoods.
Alright. Next up, we got the new Tenyi stuff. Or the Tenyi deck, I should say. It's Tenyi Sword Soul. I mean, like, the new support is pretty good. New support is pretty good, but like they could make Protos. I don't think this deck's gonna be insane. I think it'll be at the top of local level, maybe behind Voice's Voice. But I don't think it's that insane, honestly. Like this deck is not that good.
Like it's still a solid deck, but currently don't think it will perform.
Yeah, the new support, I don't think it does enough. Maybe in front of Voices, honestly.
Yeah, I wouldn't say Voices is better than Tenyi right now.
Alright, the next deck we got is YUGIOH. I think this deck is behind Crystron right now. I think that it's good. Honestly, actually, no. I'd put YUGIOH in front of Crystron. I think YUGIOH had its time, but we're in a new age now, and YUGIOH just doesn't do it. Playing 4 bricks is not good.
Like, same thing. YUGIOH was good the last meta, but ever since crossover breakers came out, YUGIOH just started. How would I say? It just started falling back. It just started dying down. But I would say the deck is still pretty solid. Even with the Phantom hit, I would still say it's pretty solid. But yeah, it just doesn't compete with Malice, Ryzeo, and everything else that we're seeing right now.
Our next deck is Mitsurugi. I think that this deck is YCS bound. I mean, I think the way you play it determines how well you will do with it. Like, obviously, the best way to play it is Ryzeo right now. But, like, I've seen the snake stuff or the reptile stuff, and that stuff's alright, but I think the best way to play it's Ryzeo. And I think that this is a good direction for TCG exclusives to be going right now.
Yeah, I completely agree with Noah right there. But yeah, honestly, Mitsurugi it's a very interesting archetype, very interesting engine in my opinion. This Mitsurugi thing right now is good in almost like a lot of decks. So same thing. If you guys want to make your deck better, you guys can see if you guys try to incorporate it together and make it work. Sometimes the outcome might actually surprise you, and you might actually just find a hidden gem as a deck. Just take it to regionals, and they're like, "Oh my god, they're playing that and Mitsurugi together. I would have never thought of that." Like, people won't be prepared. So, hey, just know, always, don't be afraid to test. Don't be afraid to throw new things together.
All right, next up we got Labyrinth. I think this is a regional level deck. Probably at the top of regional level. I think that it has a good matchup against Raizu, but its Malice matchup is kind of tough. Like, unless they set up their their set 5 pass, I think going second is very hard for them against Malice, because Malice can just banish all their sets before they can activate. And then, but it's Lab, like Lab's always pretty up there in the meta right now,
Mm-hmm. No, yeah, I played Lab the other day at regionals. Dude, it was like one of the best games I've ever played, but unfortunately I still lost. He set up the set 5 pass almost every time, and what's that spell called that acts like
Daruma Cannon?
He played triple Daruma Cannons and triple transaction rollbacks, and every time I had my board going, he would either Daruma Cannon me or just rollback me on that, and I'd just get stopped in my tracks. I wouldn't be able to do anything. So yeah, honestly, I think Lab is still a pretty strong deck right now.
Alright, next deck we got Ritual Beast. Honestly, this deck is good. It's good. It's a good deck. It's good at what it does. You gotta be super smart to play it, but I think in this next format, all the Molcharmies are good against it. Lance is in the format. I just don't see this deck being able to perform as well as it did. I would say it's at the top of local level. I think leave it at home, honestly. But like, it's good. I think I'd put Chimera in keeping the binder now, but it's just not its format, honestly.
Ritual Beast is just I know you Ritual Beast players hate to hear it, but it's just a shifter deck. Let's be completely honest. It's just a shifter deck. Deck's only this good right now, or that good before, because of shifter. But right now,
and Protoss,
yeah. But right now, there are so many other decks that are better with shifter and can also counter him. So yeah, it kind of hurts him a lot. It kind of hurts Ritual Beast a lot. So that's why right now it is currently at top local level.
Alright, next deck we got Tempai. I think that this deck is up here. I think it is before Crystron. I think it's before Yubel too, actually.
Really?
I think Tempai is better than Yubel. I think Triff has been cooking up some decks. Fiendsmith Tempai.
Oh, man, yeah, I seen that.
Fiendsmith Tempai, Bystial Tempai. Fiendsmith Bystial Tempai.
Honestly, it is pretty insane. I'll give you that. It is pretty.
It's pretty good, and like one card Pydra is like more than 8,000 damage. Like you just need one Tempai card, and like you're off to the races. Honestly, I think Tempai can be played as an engine in most decks just to put up damage on the board and get you bodies. But I think Tempai is pretty much it's tied with Yubel right now. I think it's tied with Yubel. And Mitsurugi could possibly be better than Crystron, honestly. But I think those two are tied, Tempai and Yubel, and Crystron and Mitsurugi. Alright, next up we got Sky Striker. I think Sky Striker is good. I'd say you could get lucky at a regional maybe. But I think it's a local level deck. I think it's at the top of local level. I think it's in a better position than Ritual Beast, due to not losing to that many hand traps. And yeah, can't say much more about that.
That's just as of right now though. I would say Sky Striker right now in the current format. We're not talking about post SUDA or nothing. I would say it's the best to play with Malice. Not too sure about the future. That could change depending on like, you know, what you try to splash in with like the top tier decks. You know, maybe something could happen, something could change. Someone could have a little spice, someone can have a little excitement, surprise there and here. But yeah, as of right now, that's where I see Sky Striker as.
Our next deck we got Branded. I think that this deck, I think it's keeping the binder for now.
Yeah.
It has all this support and yet it's so mediocre. It's mediocre, honestly. It
doesn't have enough. The deck just doesn't have enough.
Like even Branded Fusion going to 1, like this deck is so much worse now. This deck is bad. Like its only good thing was that, and they lost it. Yep. All right, next up we got Tier Limit.
Tier Limits.
I think this deck is keeping the binder, honestly. Yeah. I think it's not that good. Honestly, it could be traded for some Wakana.
It's not that crazy. I know that's not what you tier fans want to hear. No, we're gonna put it.
We're putting it trade for some Wakana. Bro.
We're keeping it in the binder. We're not trading it away for Lorcana. That's my favorite deck, and it will be my favorite deck. But yeah, I just know that's what you tier players hate it here. But pure tier right now, not that good right now. But if you do choose to play Horus tier, I mean, I can see it being local level. You know, I can see you like winning a few times, topping locals a few times. But without Horus, let's just say you're playing like, you know, just the classic tier right now. That's gonna be like, you know, 2 Fender. You're gonna play the Danger package. You're gonna play some Shadow cards, throw in some Kashtira. You know, the Toad. Yeah, don't think it's gonna cut it as of right now. But if you do add Horse in there though, that can change the whole topic. But pure tier, it is keeping the binder.
All right. Next up, we got Heroes. I think that this deck is getting new support, which is good, but it's trade for some Wakana. Yep. It's rogue. It's a rogue deck. The new support, I don't think it does enough. Honestly, it's good, but it just doesn't do enough, honestly.
Yeah, once again, this is just our opinions. You know, maybe to hero players, that card can be like huge for some of you guys. But to us, you know, heroes will just always be heroes for us. It's always gonna stay rogue, honestly, until like something crazy happens, until they get a crazy card.
All right, next up we got Rescue Ace. I think that this deck is in a poor position. It got Airlifter, I believe, back to 3, but it lost OSS. I think it's in a better position than Branded. I think it's in a better position than Branded, but the deck isn't good. Like, I feel like it gets beat with like 1 hand trap, maybe 2, and in a hand trap format, it's not that good. Honestly. Anything?
Nope. Just waiting for the next one.
All right. Next up, we got Malice. I think that Malice is at the top of YCS bound, not being what is it called?
Not being biased.
Malice is at the top of YCS bound. I think post SUDA, this deck does fall hard a bit to all the Ryzeo and all the Fiendsmith variants. Just because the Numo Charmy, it gets a lot. Malice stays the same, but the engine that it plays inside gets weaker, and it loses to more hand traps when it already lost to Fulos. So I think it's still good, but its position isn't great. Anything or no?
Nope, I agree with what you said.
All right, next up we got Mermail. I think Heroes is better. Heroes is a little bit worse than it. I don't think it's that good, especially in a format where Shifter's present. Because, I mean, Mitsurugi can still play. I think in a format where even Mitsurugi could still play Shifter, I think that it's just not its time, honestly. I think I'd put tier and trade for some Arcana, but like we can't. So
we're not allowing that here. We're not allowing the tier slander.
All right, next up we got Fiendsmith and Fiendsmith variants. I think Fiendsmith is better than Tempai, even though you play most variants with Fiendsmith with other decks. But I think Fiendsmith's just good right now. Tempai needs Fiendsmith cards, so that means Fiendsmith would be better than Tempai. And Fiendsmith doesn't need the Tempai cards.
Yeah, Fiendsmith, reason why it's up there pretty high is that Fiendsmith is a very splashable engine. Very, very splashable. It is very easy to splash into any deck. You can almost put it in any deck and make it work. Probably not flow injuries, but yeah, you can almost throw it in any deck and make it work. Like, last time we were at a regional, I saw this dude playing Fiendsmith tier limits, and they somehow beat Fiendsmith YUGIOH. And I was just sitting there, I was like, yo, what the hell? I was confused, but I mean, I guess that can just show you how good Fiendsmith is. The ability to have it work in any deck, and the ability to literally carry a keep in the binder deck to be over Fiendsmith YUGIOH. I would say that's still very impressive, honestly. It just shows you the abilities of this deck.
All right, next up we got Cash. This mainly like Fiend Cash. I mean, Cash Tier by itself isn't really real, but I think Fiendsmith Cash Tier it's good. I think I'd put it behind Tempai maybe. It's a good deck, but like the boards are very mid-range, which Kashtira Unicorn Rip is kind of nuts, but
all right, let me just simplify it for you guys. Let me just simplify it for you guys. You have these two, okay? Let's say you get these two, or you get this and Unicorn, anything like that. If they hand trap you, they hand trap you. You know, I would start off with the Kashtira stuff. Boom, boom, boom. If you do full combo, really the most you're gonna go into is probably just Desiree and like another card. You know, let's say you have Desiree and some like Shangri-La on there or something like that. That's really like the most you can do with this deck, but it may not seem that crazy. But the good thing about this deck is the fact that it can straight up carry you throughout hand trap wars. I mean, like, dude, right there, just the bottom 5 cards in my deck, they're just straight up hand traps. You know, you can just overload this whole deck with hand traps. So many 1-card starters in this deck. That's what makes this deck good. And especially Lacrima. I play triple Lacrima. Bring it out, you can bait out 2 hand traps right there. That's what I really like about this deck. It can just carry you through the grind game and the hand trap game. And dude, even sometimes if you open, like, if you open and you brick, you know, you start one thing, they hand trap you, and you're like, oh well, you have an empty board. Sometimes your 4 hand traps, it carries you through the game. It can carry you through the game. Like, dude, 4 hand traps. I'm pretty sure a lot of decks right now, that's still gonna be pretty hard for them to play through 4 hand traps. So yeah, that's why this deck is still solid, and yeah, that's why this deck is still pretty good. All right, Chino Decks, that's gonna be the end of this video. If you guys were sad that your favorite decks were listed at the bottom of the tier list, go hit that like button, man. This is so sad. But on the other hand, if you guys were happy that your favorite decks were at the top, go hit that subscribe button as well. When you're down there, hit that like button when you're on the way. And don't forget to hit that little bell to turn on the notifications and become a part of the Chino Decks.
And comment.
Yeah, and comment. Don't forget to comment. If there's anything that we can do better, just please comment. Let us know what we can improve on. And just don't forget to subscribe. Don't forget to like our video. If you like our video, share it out to your family and friends. Yeah, just thank you guys for all the love and support. But see you guys later. Bye.